I can talk about that. So Ruru with the super chat says, Clan, give your thoughts on Spurs pursuing Trae Young. Sure. Actually, let me see. There's actually something that was brought up that I found interesting. So hold on. I didn't already have it up. I apologize. Let's duplicate that. Let's go back. And here we go. Okay. All right. Okay, there's an article here. There's an article here. There's an article here. It's time to talk about it. Let's talk about Trae Young. Let's do it. Okay, so the beautiful thing about the situation that the San Antonio Spurs are in is that we can literally do whatever we want, and it's not necessarily a bad move. Like, every move that we make at this point isn't a bad one. It's absolutely incredible. It's wonderful, okay? So a lot of people were upset that we didn't go after Trae Young during this trade deadline, which I don't think he was even available. And I think it would be best for the Spurs not to do that and wait it out, maybe even into next season until he gets disgruntled, all right? He will get disgruntled. He will get upset, and he will ask, more than likely, to come to the San Antonio Spurs. Now, if you're looking at, just look at it from the Atlanta Hawks perspective, okay? Because we're sitting back, we're chilling, we're good. There's nothing to really worry about. It's Twitter X seems to think he's the answer. Nah, that's fine. But we're sitting back, okay? We're chilling. But if we look at the Atlanta Hawks and their perspective, they're absolutely screwed, okay? They couldn't move DeJounte Murray, so you already know there's going to be some type of rift there. Let's not pretend like it's not. That's hilarious. They're borderline stuck with him. They're probably going to have to just like get rid of him. So I don't know. People don't want to take on that contract. So don't know what's going to happen there. Regardless, if he's like the second best player next to Trae Young, you're not going to win anything. You're going to be mediocre. And that is where no team wants to be. No team wants to be mediocre. So the Atlanta Hawks, they can try and attempt to trade Trae Young. Okay, they can try to trade Trae Young. And that probably will be a really good situation. But then again, either you trade Trae Young to somewhere else in which you get a star back, which they're probably not going to be of equal value. Let's be real. He's Trae Young. You don't really get better at the point guard position than Trae Young, especially with those who are available. He's Trae Young. So you can trade him away and try to get a star. Probably not going to be the best thing that you could possibly do. You could trade him away and try to get someone else's picks and just bank on the fact that hopefully maybe in that future that they will tank or they will be a bad enough team for you to get a lottery pick. Very hard to get first round picks, and a lot of times they are protected. So that's tough. The best possible situation, in my opinion, that the Atlanta Hawks could do is that they could ask the San Antonio Spurs to give them their picks back. That's the best thing you can do. So you can be in charge of your future and you can blow it up like you probably should have anyways. Will they do that? Probably, especially if Trae Young asked to go to San Antonio, and we already know from not only his family members, his dad, they're high on San Antonio. Okay, they would like to be in San Antonio. Trae Young has dropped more than enough hints, more than enough gems for us. I mean, literally going on a podcast to talk about Wemby, knowing what the questions would be, mind you. It's not like one of these things where some celebrity goes on any type of talk and they don't know what the questions are. That's super rare. Most of the time they know. They have their team, they have their PR team, they know what's going to be asked, and it was a lot of questions about Wemby, and he still went on there and talked about Wemby. So I think he definitely wants to play for San Antonio. So I think if he asked to be traded, Spurs are definitely going to be one of his destinations. So we can really sit back and we can even decide, no, we don't want Trae Young. We're just going to let you explode. Trae Young, if he's disgruntled, they're going to have to trade him. It's going to be a dumpster fire. They could trade him away and just be mediocre. Sure, that's a possibility. And then we get their pick and it's some, whatever, mediocre pick, whatever. That could be a possibility, right? But regardless, the Spurs are set. We have their entire future in our hands. Now, to answer your question, Ruru, how do I feel about us getting Trae Young? I'll be cool with it. So here's a quote from that article. It says, there are several front offices that listened to Atlanta's deadline chatter and came away from conversations with the Hawks of the belief that Trae Young could become available for the trade this summer, depending on Atlanta's outcome for the remainder of this campaign. Literally beautiful. I don't think that there's going to be any player that the Atlanta Hawks gets that wouldn't cause them to not be that great next season. I'm cool. I don't even care. Like, if we get Trae Young, that's a win for us. If we don't, it's probably a win for us. I do not see the Atlanta Hawks, no matter what they do, no matter what type of maneuvering they do, that they'll be good next season. I think they'll be trash next season. Are there any players in particular that the chat can think of that could be available for trade in the offseason? Like another star that would automatically make the Atlanta Hawks better? Because everything I can think of, they're either going to be quite still mediocre or below mediocre. Like Trae Young is really good. And another thing about him too is he makes everyone around him much better than what they actually are. He does it with big men all the time. I love Don Barlow, but if he played for the San Antonio Spurs, how Don Barlow looks right now, man, people will say he's a star. He'll be finding them for those corner threes. We know a lot of our guys miss him for those corner threes. He would look like a star. I really don't think the Spurs could trade any of our players right now. Their value is just not being displayed on the court at the moment. For Trae Young? No. See, that's the thing. So the Atlanta Hawks, they have some options. They can trade Trae Young and try to get them a star. And, obviously we could do like a 3-team thing as well, but I don't see what we get out of it if we don't get Trae Young. So they can trade Trae Young and try to get of equal value, which they won't. Or they can trade Trae Young to us and get their future back and they go ahead and tank. Like they're just going to take our scraps, like we can throw in some players in there to try to match the salaries, but we're good. If they're involved in us, it's solely to get their future back. We're good. Or we can just, it's literally one of those things where Brian Wright, he had the foresight. And this is what frustrates me when people say, the Spurs front office is dumb. They didn't do anything. They're trash. Brian Wright is garbage. I don't believe that at all. I think that he sat back and he assessed the situation with other teams. He assessed the situation with the Atlanta Hawks, and he predicted correctly. He did it. Dude, even the Toronto Raptors pick in 2024. Phenomenal foresight. They are exactly where we want them to be. Exactly. They're not tanking. They're going to continue to attempt to win. They're going to be quite below mediocre, and we're going to get a pretty good pick out of it. That's what it's looking like right now. Brian literally said he was going to wait and watch this year to see what Wemby will need. There you go. That's how you should do it. You didn't even know. We didn't even know. I knew that this team wouldn't be like a championship team or a playoff team or even a play-in team. I said that really early. I didn't think we'll make the play-in. But I also didn't know what Wemby would even need. I watched him in France, and even then, it's not. You don't get a good grasp of his game offensively. He can do so many different things. He dabbles in so many different things, but you didn't really know what you're going to get. Oh, what did Mudhorn say? You said True Mudhorn. What did he say? Not going to lie, Wemby and Cade will feed a lot of families. Oh, yeah, that would be sick. That's what kills me. Brian literally said that there's no reason to make moves if you don't know what you're going to build around. There you go. Actually, I don't even recall that part. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I was like, how do you build around a player that you don't even know what he that's preposterous. That I was really upset with Shaq, of all people, because Shaq asked, you guys remember this? I think it might have been after the Dallas game. He literally asked Wemby, how long will he wait before asking for a trade? How long will you wait for the Spurs to win? It's what are you talking? How? What are you talking about? And then Wemby was like, I don't even know how to win a championship. It's yeah, dude, he barely played in the NBA games. What are you talking about? Gosh, Shaq says some. Oh my God. I hate Shaq interviews, man. Shaq already foreshadowing when Wemby would leave the Spurs. Man, Kawhi was a preposterous. Yeah, Kawhi was a he was an anomaly. He was an anomaly. But now people just treat it like every single star that's ever came to San Antonio left. That's not true. Duncan, Manu, Tony. I mean, I guess Tony technically did leave his last year. LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan, and everybody can say, well, they were getting ready to leave. Like, that's the thing that gets me. Like, people will be so quick to say, fire Pop. Pop is trash. I don't want him on my team. Oh my God, he's awful. And then they will also say, well, this player almost left San Antonio, and then not keeping in like mind the fact that they stayed was because of Pop, and they've said that. I find it very ironic that a lot of people want Chris Paul and also want Popovich gone, forgetting the fact that Chris Paul even said before, this is when Chris Paul was good. Okay, he hasn't been really that good, but when he was really good, and he ended up going to the Houston Rockets, he said, yeah, I thought about going to the San Antonio Spurs, but I thought that Popovich was going to retire. But yes, fire Pop. Sure, whatever. I couldn't think of a better coach to be coaching these guys right now. This is perfect. We are in the perfect situation, and some people still cry. Perfect situation as a Spurs fan, and people are still crying. You know, rebuilds usually don't go this smooth. We got every single thing that we want. And not only did we get every single thing that we want thus far, and we're sitting back and like, oh, you know, we could get Trae Young if we wanted to. Like, there's so many different scenarios for the Spurs. But not only did we do what we did it with scraps, okay? We did it with nothing. We had a star leave. Now, sure, we traded for DeMar DeRozan, but that was our starting point. Was aging DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. That is our starting point. And the Spurs have managed, after DeMar DeRozan's departure, to get this many draft picks out of all of this, which is absolutely insane. That's our starting point. And to just be in a great situation, have this cap space, and get a generational talent. That's insane. It's like, it's almost instantaneous. A lot of teams don't get to start from scratch like that. And a lot of teams that do look really good right now, they already had established stars prior when they made those moves. It's like, it's incredible how quickly we did this. A lot of teams can't even get to the first step. It takes a while to get to the first step. We got to the first step in a season. Stars really aligned. Not only stars aligned, and I know it takes a little bit of luck, but it was strategy. It was Brian Wright. It was the front office. They had foresight. Brian Wright knew he wasn't going to keep DeJounte Murray around. I mean, I know for me, I was very adamant that I didn't think he was as good as people thought. But yeah, he wasn't going to keep DeJounte Murray around. Upped his value. Traded him for 4 picks. Ridiculous. The amount of second round picks you got for Josh Richardson was insane. Very impressive. It's like if the Spurs make a move, it's usually a pretty decent one. And I know like the Doug McDermott one for 2029 second round, it looks like it wasn't really much out there for a trade. And it looks like it's not that big a deal now, but that it could easily be something that you package in the future, right? Not bad. Everybody playing checkers, Spurs playing chess. Exactly. And people can say, "Oh, you're just a homer." It's like, no, dude. I think some people just get way too. I mean, I get emotional too, but like, way too reactionary. I don't know if that's the correct term. Just these knee-jerk reactions. I feel bad, thus let me get. It's like, and it's always the easiest solutions in the world too, mind you. Spurs look bad. This makes me feel bad. Fire the person that's making me feel bad. It's like, okay. All right. And then I would sit back and just say, what franchise do you want to be? Like, what franchise do you want the Spurs to be? Because I guarantee you, all the franchises that's having success, big chunk of it is they're emulating what the Spurs have done. Not to say we're like the godfather of the league or nothing like that. I'm not saying there's teams winning before us, obviously, right? Obviously. But at the same time, you know, whatever we're doing is successful, and, you know, other teams have to do it as well. It takes patience. It takes strategy. It's smart. Update on Morris. Nothing thus far, but I'm pretty sure they're going to buy him out. So. Spurs set the precedent for a lot of teams. Not only did they set the precedent, it's a lot of people from the Spurs tree going into other organizations and doing well. Moore's getting bought out or waived. Yeah, he won't stay here. Yeah. But yeah, so Trae Young, that would be cool. But then I don't think we have to do anything. Like it's one of those where I won't be mad either way. If the Spurs sat back and didn't get him, I'm cool. If they decided, I'm gonna let you burn a little bit, Atlanta, and we're gonna get some good picks out of it, I'm cool with that too. Because Lord knows 2025, there's some guys. Okay, my boy Elliot Cadeau had a good game today. There's some guys, all right. But yeah, in the segment.